You ever fall in love so hard you ignore every red flag? Till the red flags start waving back at you screaming, "Run?" Yeah, that was me, until I met the Queen of Karens and her diabolical daughter. Smash that like button before the Karens. File a noise complaint about your mouse clicks. Hit subscribe, or you might just find a freshly baked casserole of chaos on your doorstep. Let me set the scene. It's a Saturday in late spring. It's a kind of day where the sun is so bright it makes you believe in second chances, and the air smells like freshly cut grass and suburban delusion. I'm at my best friend's backyard barbecue, double fisting a solo cup and a paper plate stacked with enough potato salad to kill a small horse. I'm not looking for love. I'm not even looking for conversation. I'm just trying to avoid the guy who keeps cornering people to talk about his crypto portfolio. And then I see her. She's standing by the lemonade table, laughing at something her friend said, and I swear the world goes into slow motion. She's got this wild curly hair, a smile that could melt steel, and eyes that say, "I've seen some things. But I'm still here." I'm instantly, hopelessly, pathetically smitten. Her name is Emily. We talk. We click. It's like we've known each other for years. She's smart, funny, and crucially, she doesn't own a single NFT. We spend the whole afternoon together. And by the time the sun sets, I'm already planning our wedding in my head. Spoiler, I should have planned an escape route instead. But here's the thing about falling in love. You don't just get the person, you get their family too, and Emily's family. Well, let's just say they make the Addams family look like the Brady Bunch. A week later, Emily invites me over for dinner to meet the parents. I'm nervous, but she assures me my mom's a little intense, but she means well. I should have known that was code for my mom is a category 5. Karen with a black belt in passive aggression. I show up with flowers and a bottle of wine, because I was raised right. The door swings open before I can even knock, and there she is, Karen Prime. Blonde bob, pursed lips, eyes that scan me like a TSA agent who's just found us suspiciously. A large bottle of shampoo in my carry-on. She doesn't say hello. She doesn't say welcome. She says, "Shoes off, please. We don't want to track dirt in, do we?" Her voice is so sharp, it could slice deli meat. I step inside, and it's like entering a museum where everything is beige and smells faintly of Lysol and judgment. Emily's dad, Bob, is there too, but he's more of a background character, think. Man reading newspaper in a sitcom, gives me a weak smile and goes back to pretending he's invisible. Dinner is tense. Karen grills me like I'm applying for a job I didn't know existed. "So what do you do for a living?" "I'm a graphic designer." "Oh, that? Stable?" She says stable like she's never met a creative person who paid rent on time. I try to charm her, but she's immune. She's like a boss fight in a video game. Every compliment bounces off her armor. Emily squeezes my hand under the table. I think, okay, I can survive this. It's just one dinner. But then Karen drops the first bomb. You know Emily's last boyfriend was a lawyer. Very successful. He bought his mother a car for her birthday. Isn't that sweet? I smile and nod, but inside I'm screaming. I can feel the first cracks in my sanity forming. After dinner, Karen insists on giving me a tour of the house. It's less a tour and more a showcase of her superiority.
Ow.
Every room comes with a story about how she got the best deal, or how the neighbors are jealous, or how she had to call the manager to get what she wanted. We end up in the backyard, where she points out her prized rose bushes. See those? Won first place at the garden club last year. Of course, some people think they can just plant anything and call it landscaping, but standards matter, don't you think? I nod, but I'm pretty sure she's talking about me as I leave that night. Karen gives me a hug that feels like a threat and says we're very protective of our daughter, just so you know. I drive home, replaying every moment, every microaggression, every backhanded compliment. But Emily texts me, "Sorry about my mom. She's a lot, but I really like you." Just like that, I'm back in. Love makes you stupid. The next few weeks are a blur of dates, laughter, and increasingly bizarre run-ins with Karen. She starts showing up at places she shouldn't be, like the coffee shop where Emily and I have our Saturday morning ritual. Oh, fancy. Seeing you two here? I was just in the neighborhood. She lives 20 minutes away. She accidentally calls me by Emily's ex's name. She critiques my parking. She once asked if I'd ever considered real estate, since it's a more respectable field. God. The worst is when she starts inserting herself into our relationship. She texts Emily constantly asking where we are, what we're doing, who we're with. She even tries to friend me on Facebook, which I ignore, because I value my sanity. One night, Emily and I are watching a movie when her phone buzzes. "It's Karen, are you safe?" Is he treating you well? Remember, you can always come home. Emily rolls her eyes, but I can see the stress wearing on her. I try to joke about it. Your mom's just looking out for you. Like a very aggressive, slightly unhinged bodyguard. But the truth is, it's starting to get to me. It's not just Karen, either. She's got a whole squatter sister, her book club, the HOA president. They're like a coven of suburban witches, brewing up drama and sipping Chardonnay. One afternoon, I'm mowing my lawn when Karen's sister, Linda, marches over with a clipboard. Hi, I'm with the Neighborhood Beautification Committee. We've noticed your grass is a little uneven. Just a friendly reminder to keep up appearances. I look around. My lawn is fine. But Linda's got that same Karen energies, smiling while she stabs you in the back. Then there's the HOA president, Mr. Jenkins, who starts sending me violation notices for things like improperly stored trash bins and wind chimes that are too loud. I don't even own wind chimes. It's like they've declared war on me. I don't even know why. The final straw comes at Emily's birthday party. I've planned a surprise picnic in the park, complete with her favorite foods, a playlist of songs we love, and a cake I spent 3 hours baking. It's perfect until Karen shows up. She's not invited. She's not even supposed to know where we are. But she arrives, arms full of store-bought cupcakes, and immediately takes over. You did a picnic? How quaint. I brought real dessert, just in case. She criticizes the food, the music, the weather. She tells Emily she looks tired. She corners me and says, I hope you're not getting too comfortable. Relationships can end at any time. You know? I snap. Not outwardly, I'm too polite for that. But inside, something shifts. I realize I can't keep living like this, tiptoeing around Karen and her army of entitled minions. If I want a future with Emily, I have to take a stand. But how do you fight a Karen? You can't out-complain her. You can't outmaneuver her. She's got years of experience, a Rolodex of managers, and the HOA on speed dial. Know if I'm going to survive this, I need a plan. Something clever. Something poetic. Something that will expose Karen for who she really is. And maybe, just maybe, give me and Emily a shot at happiness. And that, my friends, is where the real story begins. If you've ever wondered what it's like to be hunted by a pack of Karens, let me tell you, it's not for the faint of heart. It's like being the only gazelle at a lioness convention. Except the lionesses are armed with clipboards, HOA bylaws, and a burning desire to see you fail at life. After the birthday picnic disaster, I tried to convince myself it was a one-off. Maybe Karen would get bored. Maybe she'd find a new target like the neighbor who parks his RV on the street, or the teenager who mows lawns for cash without a business license. But no, I was the chosen one, chosen enemy, bless her, tried to keep the peace. She'd say things like, she'll come around, or she's just protective. Or, my personal favorite, she's not that bad once you get to know her. But every time I got to know her, I lost another piece of my soul. It started small, annoying, but manageable. Karen would accidentally forward me emails meant for Emily, all of them passive-aggressive masterpieces. Hi, honey. Just a reminder to always lock your doors. You never know who's out there these days. P.S. Did you know some people don't even have security systems? Shocking. Or, Emily, I hope you're eating well. Some people don't know how to cook chicken all the way through. Food poisoning is no joke. I'd laugh it off, but the hits kept coming. One day, I came home to find a note taped to my door. Your recycling bin was out past 8 a.m. Please be considerate of the neighborhood. No signature, but the handwriting was unmistakable Karen's cursive. Sharp enough to draw blood. Then came the random visits. I'd be working from home, headphones on, deep in a design project, when the doorbell would ring. I'd open the door to find Karen standing there, holding a Tupperware of something suspiciously beige. I made banana bread. Thought you could use a snack. By the way, your curtains are a little sheer. Anyone could see right in. Started to feel like I was living in a reality show called Survive the Suburbs, Karen Edition. Every day was a new challenge. Would it be a complaint about my lawn? A critique of my car? A thinly veiled threat about the kind of people who move into this neighborhood? But the real trouble started when Karen decided to get creative. 1. Saturday, Emily and I were planning a quiet night in pizza, movies, the works. I'd just picked up the food when my phone buzzed. It was Emily, her voice tight with panic. Can you come over? Oh. I dropped everything and drove to her house, heart pounding. When I got there, Karen was waiting on the porch, arms crossed, lips pursed so tight they looked like they might implode. "We need to talk," she said, in the tone of someone about to fire you from a job you didn't know you had. She led me inside, where Emily was sitting on the couch, looking like she'd just been through a war. Karen launched into a speech that would have made a Bond villain proud. "I've been doing some research," she began, "and I'm concerned about your background." I blinked. "My background?" "Yes, your job, your finances, your family. I just want to make sure you're the right kind of person for my daughter." I looked at Emily, who mouthed, "I'm so sorry." Karen pulled out a folder, an actual, physical folder labeled with my name. Inside were printouts of my LinkedIn, my old college blog, even a photo of me from a Halloween party in 2012, dressed as a giant banana. "I just want to be thorough," she said, as if this was normal behavior. "You can never be too careful." I wanted to laugh, but I was too stunned. This wasn't just overbearing. This was full-on surveillance. I tried to keep my cool. "Karen, I appreciate your concern, but I think Emily and I can handle our own relationship." She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Of course. I just want what's best for my daughter, and for this family." That was the first time she said it, this family, like I was applying to join a cult. After that, things got worse. Much worse. The next week I started getting strange phone calls. Unknown numbers. People asking if I was interested in exclusive timeshare opportunities or miracle vitamins. At first I thought it was just spam. But then one caller slipped up, "Hi, is this the guy dating Emily? Mr. Smith?" I hung up, heart racing. Is Karen giving out my number? Was she trying to scare me off? I confronted Emily, who was just as horrified as I was. "I'll talk to her," she promised. "This has to stop." But it didn't stop. If anything, it escalated. One morning, I woke up to find my car egged. Not just a couple of eggs, dozens. It looked like an omelet had exploded on my windshield. Taped to the driver's side mirror was a note. "Some people don't belong here." I called the police, but they just shrugged. "Probably some kids," they said. "It happens all the time." But I knew Emily was furious. She confronted her mom, who denied everything, but her eyes glittered with satisfaction. "I just want you to be happy, dear. Maybe you should date someone more appropriate." That night, Emily and I had our first real fight. She was torn. She loved her mom, but she loved me too. She wanted to believe Karen would change. But I could see the doubt creeping in. "Maybe we should take a break," she said, voice trembling. "Just until things calm down." I felt like I'd been punched in the gut, but I understood. Karen was winning. She was driving a wedge between us, and I was powerless to stop it. For a week, I barely slept. I went through the motions at work, but my mind was elsewhere. I kept replaying every moment, every insult, every humiliation. I started to wonder if Karen was right. Maybe I didn't belong. Maybe I wasn't good enough. But then something snapped. I realized I was letting her win. I was letting her control my life, my happiness, my relationship, and I was done. I called Emily. "I'm not giving up," I told her. "I love you. I'm not going to let your mom ruin that." She cried. I cried. We agreed to meet, to talk, to fight for what we had. But if we were going to survive, we needed a plan. We needed to out Karen the Karen. That's when I started to pay attention. Really pay attention. I watched Karen, studied her, learned her patterns. I noticed how she always parked in the fire lane when she went to the grocery store. How she borrowed her neighbor's Wi-Fi. How she used her position on the HOA to get out of paying fines. I started keeping notes, dates, times, details. I became a Karen hunter, gathering evidence, building a case. And then one day, I found my opening. It was a Saturday morning, and Karen was hosting her weekly book club. They never actually read the books. It was just an excuse to drink wine and gossip. I was walking past her house when I saw her arguing with the mailman. "This package is late," she snapped. "I expect better service." The mailman, a saint of a man, just nodded and apologized. But as he walked away, Karen muttered, "Useless." That's when I saw a stack of Amazon boxes on her porch, all addressed to her, all with different names. I remembered Emily mentioning that her mom had a side hustle, reselling exclusive products online. But what if it was more than that? I did some digging. Turns out Karen was running a full-blown operation, ordering products under fake names to get around purchase limits, then reselling them at a markup. It was shady, possibly illegal, and definitely against Amazon's terms of service. I had my leverage, but I wasn't going to use it yet, not until the time was right. In the meantime, Karen kept up her campaign. She started spreading rumors about meeting neighbors. I was unstable, that I had anger issues, that I was using Emily for her family's money. Jokes on her, we were both broke. The neighborhood started to turn. People I'd waved to for years started avoiding me. The HOA sent me more violation notices. Even the local dog walker gave me the side eye, but I held on. I kept my head down, kept gathering evidence, kept loving Emily, and then the final blow. One night, I came home to find my front yard covered in toilet paper, not just a few rolls, dozens, maybe hundreds. It looked like a mummy convention had exploded on my lawn. In the middle of it all was a sign, "Loser." I stood there, staring at the mess, feeling the weight of it all. The humiliation, the anger, the helplessness. I wanted to scream, to cry, to give up. But then I remembered the folder, the boxes, the notes. I remembered who I was dealing with. And I knew what I had to do. It was time for revenge, not petty revenge, not childish revenge. No, I was going to give Karen exactly what she deserved, a taste of her own medicine. Served cold, with a side of poetic justice. But first, I needed a little help. I called Emily. "Are you in?" I asked. She didn't hesitate. "Let's do it." And just like that, the tables began to turn. If you've ever plotted revenge against a Karen, you know it's not as simple as leaving a bad Yelp review or hiding her favorite garden gnome. No, you have to be smarter. You have to think like a Karen, anticipate her moves, outmaneuver her at every turn, and, most importantly, make sure she's the architect of her own downfall. Emily and I met at my place, surrounded by the aftermath of the Great Toilet Paper Massacre. She brought coffee and a look of grim determination. For the first time, I saw her not just as my girlfriend, but as my partner in crime. We were Bonnie and Clyde. If Bonnie had a Pinterest board and Clyde was allergic to confrontation. We started by mapping out everything we knew: Karen's schedule, her habits, her weaknesses. The Amazon reselling scheme was our ace in the hole, but we needed more. We needed to hit her where it hurt, her reputation, because if there's one thing a Karen values more than control, it's her image. She wants to be the queen bee, the neighborhood authority, the woman everyone envies and fears. Take that away, and you take away her power. Step 1. Gather allies. We reached out to a few neighbors who'd been burned by Karen in the past. There was Mrs. Patel, whose Halloween decorations Karen had reported as culturally insensitive. There was Tom, the dog walker, who'd been accused of trespassing when he let a golden retriever pee on Karen's mailbox. And there was sweet old Mr. Jenkins, the HOA president, who'd been manipulated into enforcing Karen's vendettas for years. At first, they were hesitant. Karen had ruled the block with an iron fist for so long, most people just wanted to keep their heads down. But when we told them about the reselling scam, showed them the evidence, they started to come around. "She's always acted like she's above the rules," Mrs. Patel said, her eyes narrowing. "Maybe it's time someone reminded her she's not." Step 2. Set the trap. We knew Karen was planning her annual spring fling garden party, a spectacle of beige tablecloths, overpriced wine, and enough passive aggression to power a small city. It was her pride and joy, the event where she showed off her perfect roses and her flawless home. We decided that was the day. The day we'd expose her, but we needed a distraction. Something big enough to draw a crowd, but subtle enough that Karen wouldn't suspect a thing. That's where Emily came in. She volunteered to help her mom with the party, playing the dutiful daughter while secretly feeding us information. She'd text me updates what time the guests were arriving, or Karen kept her special wine, which neighbors were on the invite list. Meanwhile, I worked with Tom and Mrs. Patel to gather more evidence, took photos of the Amazon boxes, documented the fake names, even recorded a conversation where Karen bragged about beating the system. It was enough to make any HOA board or online marketplace lose their minds. Step 3. Go public. The day of the party arrived, and the neighborhood was buzzing. Karen was in her element, flitting from guest to guest, complimenting outfits, and subtly insulting anyone who dared to outshine her. Emily played her part perfectly, smiling and nodding. All while texting me updates from the kitchen. At exactly 3 p.m., Tom and I made our move. We walked up to the party, dressed in our Sunday best, carrying a tray of cookies as our offering. Karen spotted us and immediately swooped in. "Oh, how nice of you to join us," she said, her smile as sharp as ever. "I hope you remembered to park on the street. We wouldn't want to block anyone's driveway." I smiled back, matching her energy. Of course, Karen. Wouldn't dream of breaking the rules. The guests laughed, but there was an edge too. People were watching, waiting. Tension was thick enough to cut with a butter knife. That's when Mrs. Patel stepped forward. Holding a stack of papers, double quotes, Karen. I think you dropped these, she said, handing over the evidence we'd collected. You know, the ones with all those fake names and addresses? Karen's face went pale. She tried to laugh it off, but the crowd was already murmuring. Tom pulled out his phone and started playing the recording of Karen bragging about her scheme. I just use a few different names. Her voice echoed across the yard. Amazon never catches on. It's practically a victimless crime. The silence was deafening. Karen sputtered, trying to regain control. This is ridiculous. You're all just jealous. I've done nothing wrong, but the damage was done. The neighbors started asking questions. The HOA board members, who'd been invited for the free wine, looked furious. Even Emily's dad, usually invisible, stepped forward. Karen, maybe. It's time you took a break, he said quietly. For the first time, Karen looked small, vulnerable. She tried to rally, but no one was listening. The queen bee had lost her hive, but we weren't done yet. Step 4. Sweet, poetic justice. The next day, I sent an anonymous tip to Amazon's fraud department, complete with all the evidence we'd gathered. Within a week, Karen's account was suspended. Her reselling operation shut down. Packages stopped arriving. The porch was empty. The HOA, emboldened by the neighborhood's support, launched an investigation into Karen's abuse of power. She was stripped of her beautification committee title and banned from holding any official position for 5 years. The neighbors, once cowed by her tyranny, started to come out of their shells. Block parties returned. Lawns grew a little wilder. People smiled again. And as for Karen, she tried to fight back, of course. She called meetings, wrote angry emails, even threatened to sue. But no one listened. Her power was gone, her reputation in tatters. Emily and I watched it all unfold from the safety of my living room, eating popcorn and laughing until we cried. For the first time in months, we felt free. But the best part, the twist that made it all worth it? A few weeks later, a for sale sign appeared in Karen's yard. She couldn't stand living in a neighborhood where she wasn't in charge. She packed up her beige furniture, her rose bushes, and her endless supply of Tupperware, and moved away. The day she left, a whole block came out to celebrate. Mrs. Patel brought samosas. Tom grilled hot dogs. Even Mr. Jenkins cracked open a beer. Emily and I stood on the porch holding hands, watching as Karen's SUV disappeared down the street. Think she'd try to start over somewhere else? Emily asked. I grinned. Probably. But wherever she goes, she'll always be Karen. We laughed, the sound echoing through the neighborhood. It's a victory song for everyone who'd ever been steamrolled by a Karen. But as the sun set and the party wound down, I couldn't help but feel a little sorry for her. Underneath all the bluster, in control, Karen was just lonely, desperate to matter, to be seen. I hoped wherever she ended up, she'd finally find what she was looking for. But if not, well, at least she wouldn't be my problem anymore. And as for me and Emily, we finally got our happy ending. No more sabotage, no more drama, just 2 people in love, free to live their lives without fear of a clipboard-wielding tyrant. Or so we thought. Because just when you think the Karens are gone for good, there's always another one waiting in the wings. But that, my friends, is a story for another day. You'd think that after the Queen of Karens packed up her beige empire and rolled out of the neighborhood, life would return to normal. And for a while, it did.
Oh.
The air felt lighter. The grass seemed greener. Even the birds sounded less judgmental. Emily and I could finally breathe. Finally be together without the constant threat of sabotage or a surprise Tupperware drop-off. The first week after, Karen's departure was like waking up from a bad dream. I'd catch myself glancing over my shoulder, half-expecting to see her peering through the blinds, phone in hand, ready to call the HOA about my improperly stacked firewood. But she was gone. Spell was broken. Emily and I celebrated with a real date, no interruptions, no accidental run-ins, no cryptic texts about food safety. We went to our favorite Italian place, ordered way too much pasta, and toasted. To our freedom with cheap wine, for the first time in months, we talked about the future, our future. No more what-ifs, no more but my mom, just us. But here's the thing about surviving a Karen. You don't just walk away unscathed. There are scars, invisible, maybe, but real. I found myself second-guessing every interaction, every neighborly wave, Was that smile genuine, or was it the prelude to a complaint about my recycling habits? No. Was that invitation to the block party sincere, or just a setup for another round of passive-aggressive small talk? Emily felt it too. She'd flinch every time her phone buzzed, half expecting another guilt trip disguised as motherly concern. She started seeing a therapist, working through the years of emotional whiplash that came from growing up in the house of Karen. I went with her a few times, and let me tell you, group therapy for Karen survivors should be a thing. We'd make a killing. But as the weeks passed, the neighborhood healed. People started talking again, really talking. Not just whispering about who'd left their trash cans out too long. Mrs. Patel hosted a Diwali party and invited everyone, even the new family who'd moved into Karen's old house. Tom started a dog-walking cope, and suddenly there were more wagging tails than angry emails. Even Mr. Jenkins, freed from Karen's iron grip, started letting his lawn grow a little wild. It was beautiful. And then, just when I thought the universe had finally given us a break, the twist arrived. It started with a knock on the door. Not the frantic, "I'm here to ruin your day" knock I'd come to associate with Karen, but a gentle, almost apologetic tap. I opened the door to find a woman standing there mid-40s, stylish, with a smile that was just a little too wide. "Hi. I'm Denise. My family just moved in down the street. I wanted to introduce myself and bring you some muffins." I relaxed. Muffins. That's normal, right? I thanked her, took the basket, and we chatted for a few minutes. She seemed nice, normal, not a clipboard in sight, but as she turned to leave, she paused. "By the way, I noticed your mailbox is a little crooked. If you want, my husband can help you fix it. We'd like to keep the neighborhood looking its best." I froze. The muffins suddenly felt heavy in my hands. Was it happening again? Is this the beginning of a new reign of terror? Or was I just traumatized? Seeing Karen's in every shadow? I laughed it off, but as I closed the door, I caught Emily's eye. She'd heard the whole thing, do you think? She started. I shook my head. Let's not jump to conclusions. Maybe she's just helpful. But that night, as I lay in bed, I couldn't shake the feeling. The Karen energy was strong in this one. Maybe not full-blown, but the potential was there, and I realized something. Karens aren't born. They're made. Molded by years of unchecked entitlement, fueled by a society that rewards the loudest complainer. But here's the difference. This time I was ready. I'd survived the worst. I'd learned the signs, built my alliances. And most importantly, I had Emily by my side. We were a team forged in the fires of HOA hell. The next morning, I fixed the mailbox myself. I even left a thank you note on Denise's porch, along with a copy of the HOA bylaws just in case. Life moved on. Emily and I grew stronger, closer. We learned to laugh at the absurdity, to find joy in the chaos. We made new friends, built new traditions, and yes, even joined the block party planning committee. Turns out, it's a lot more fun when you're not being micromanaged by a tyrant, and every now and then, when the sun is setting and the neighborhood is quiet, I think back to those days, the battles, the betrayals, the endless supply of banana bread. I remember how close I came to giving up, how easy it would have been to let Karen win, but I didn't. We didn't. We stood up, fought back, and reclaimed our lives. So if you're out there dealing with your own Karen, whether it's a neighbor, a boss, or a family member, know this. You're not alone. You can survive. You can fight back. And with a little luck, a lot of patience, and maybe a few allies, you can even win. Just remember to keep your mailbox straight, your lawn mowed, and your sense of humor intact. Because in the end, that's what really drives the Karens crazy. And if you made it this far, smash that like button, subscribe, and share your own Karen stories in the comments. Who knows? Maybe next time, I'll be telling your tale of suburban survival. Until then, stay strong, stay sane, and remember, underestimate the power of a well-timed group chat. The end. Or is it?